welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 12:38 in that noon. I know it's probably the earliest video that I recorded in the entirety of February thus far. Is that good or bad? Well, one can argue at home now, couldn't you? But, you know, don't judge me just because I'm up early for once and that I'm usually recording late. You don't know how early I go up usually, right? You know, spoiler alert, it's not that often I go up that early. Anyway, today I made a rookie mistake, and I know, most of you are gonna be like, oh my days, why did you do that? And what am I talking about? Well, I had a bit of an interview going on today, so, of course, and naturally, right, I thought about, why not go to sleep early, you know, yesterday, go to bed early, you know, knit a knot, and, well, be up early so that I can actually, you know, brief myself, so that I can dress myself, so that I can think, that I can be all up and going, I can be rolling, I can be in action when the interview comes around. Now, is that the case? As most of you probably know, no, it's not, because if you break your normal pattern of sleeping, if you break your normal pattern of when you usually go up, when you usually go to sleep, first of all, when you go to sleep, you don't fall asleep. Very irritating phenomenon, but true nonetheless. So I was laying in bed and I was just lying there and I was like, today I'm going to go to sleep, now I'm gonna go to sleep, and then I couldn't go to sleep. Lay there for about, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours maybe. So that was a incomplete waste of time. And then when I woke up, I was really tired. Why? Well, because I hadn't slept enough, because it took 3 or 4 hours for me to actually fall asleep once I went to bed. But I was thinking in my head, right, at least my body has been resting. So technically, I have been sleeping. Isn't that right? Now, isn't that kind of the same thing? Anyway, so I went up a bit, you know, about 3 hours before the interview. I went to have some breakfast. I was fully pumped on energy. And about an hour before the interview, I just felt how my eyelids were closing down and my entire body was saying, no, I don't even want to do this, mate. Why are you doing this to me? And I was just like, well, let's just get this over with. No, but it actually turned out rather great, or at least I thought it did. It was my first Skype conference call, video call interview with a, as I said, established video feed. However, I'm used to talking to myself in a video format right here, so I think that that actually benefited me quite well. But mates, that's not why you're here now, is it? You're not here to listen to my interview, even though I'm not going to disclose any details. You know, I won't kiss and tell. You're not here to talk about or to listen to me be talking about my sleeping schedule and my schedule overall, mates. No, you're not. Because that is not of any interest to you now, is it? You're probably sitting at home thinking like, why can't he just begin with the discussion? Why does it have to denote it up here? And as you can see, up here is a denotion for when the discussion actually starts. Just keep that in mind if you don't want to have that personal introduction, mates. Here I am just following the course material that I learned in France, the negotiation techniques that establish a personal connection before you actually go into what you're talking about. But, as I said, that's not why you're here, is it? Now you're here to continue with the little project of ours that we have, that I actually talked about in the interview when talking about founders and so on and so forth and startup. Because today we're going to talk about raising funds as a party of uno. Raising funds as a party of one, and the problems that comes with it. I was gonna say the problems and the benefits that comes with it, you know, the pros and the cons, but honestly there aren't that many pros to it. So we can start off with the pros because there are so few. Well, the good thing is that you don't have to care about other people. You can go to exactly the investors that you want. As we talked about yesterday, you've already established the investors that you want to go to. You don't have any controversy within the group, within the team about which investors you can go to. You don't have any complaints about what you're going to do and how you're going to go about it because, well, it's only you. You take all the decisions. The moral implications and the legal implications are on you and you alone. So you can do pretty much whatever you want. And as a beneficial thing as well, you can say that when you finally go to an investor, one can argue, right, that your passion about the project is actually going to be able to make you more likely to raise funds than the teamwork behind a group. No, it's not. No, that ain't gonna happen. People are probably gonna look at you and they're gonna be like, you're very passionate, mate, and that's really good. 2 thumbs fresh for you. 10 out of 10 in a effort for, you know, effort. But still, you're just one person, so no matter how much passion you have, you're still not a team. Where are you gonna get that team from? But anyway, that is the few pros of it that you probably are going to realize when you start making your own business and trying to, well, register or get your own funds. But then let's get into the cons, because there are so many cons, unfortunately. Just the first of it all. Probably when you're thinking about fundraising, and when you're thinking about raising funds for a project, you're thinking an event. I'll throw an event, right? Because that's always good. People like to go to events. There's events at my school right now about all of the different associations at school, or about specific associations at school. They like throwing events, even though they cost money and people need to be there, and it takes lots of man hours, and you need to actually plan the entire thing, and lots of resources is actually committed to it. Then you have to market it, and people probably doesn't show up, at least not as many as you would want to. Is it the optimum strategy? It's probably not. I know all of those wasn't point made, but I had a bit of a feeling going there. So, special events for racing, well, awareness, I would argue, is a better word for saying it, because if you have a special event, sure, networking is to be followed. The positive networking capabilities of you actually getting out there and meeting new people, of having people coming to you so that you can pitch them your ideas, so that you can talk about what your idea is, so you can do all of them things. But unfortunately, just for raising funds, it's probably not the best course of action, because there's a rather low, fund to investment ratio going on there, because you need to invest quite a lot of resources, especially if you are a solo founder, this party of one. You probably won't have that much resources to go on from. So your man hours that you need to put in order to make this special event happen at least, is so much greater than a team would do. Because if you were in a teammate, you could divide the different things among you in the team, and you can make an event together. But now you have to do everything, and you're probably gonna run into some time restraints and some time issues. The next thing then is, this is some people's jobs. It's a full-time occupation to actually raise funds for another company. Probably, right, you're gonna look at something like inviting a consultant when it comes to actually doing the fundraising work. Not specifically in the beginning, maybe you want to have it personally in the beginning, but later on down the line, if you're still just one person, you probably have a business going. You have an idea of the business, you have you have a customer segment that you want to please, and you have to work with that as well. And you can't, as a founder, take on another full-time occupation that is actually raising funds, because one can argue that that's half of starting a new business. Actually raising the funds, raising the resources, committing to the experience of others, and actually networking and finding other people. That's like half of it. The other half is, the idea, the execution, putting in the time, actually developing something, marketing in it, and so forth. But half of it is finding the funds. And this is yet again a full-time occupation in the end of it. There are people who are established at companies who are doing this kind of research, or doing this kind of occupation, who is doing this kind of fundraising thing. And that is also a problem that you're going to run into when it's only you. It is hard to find an inefficient follow-ups when it comes to actually attracting people and attracting investment, because finding the investment right as a person, as a party of one, as the one solo founder, it's going to be quite hard. Yet again, as I stated, you've been involved in so many things up until this point. The customers, the suppliers, the different contracts that need to be signed, the laws, the legal stuff behind it. Probably your balance sheet, your income statement, and your cash flow statement needs to be balanced and finalized. Your T accounts need to be worked on. You need to think about your business plan. You need to be writing a business plan. You might need to make the background research. And on top of all of this, you need to actually find investors who are interested in your idea. And that is really hard. Is it a con? Is it a pro? In one way, it's a pro, because you have all the power. You will most certainly know everything when you're pitching it to the different investors about your idea. And that is fine. That's good. But think about it realistically. How likely is it that you're actually going to find the time to do that at the same time that you're doing everything else? And even if you manage to find investors, how likely is it that you're going to be able to efficiently follow up with these people in a reasonable manner? See what I'm saying? This personal connection with the other people. Because networking is for networking's sake. Many people would argue that it's good. Many people would argue that, well, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Now, is it? I would argue it is. Because if you've established yourself and you don't follow up with your investment, and how their investment is going. Is that really good? Is it really? I mean, think about it. They've been handing out money to you that they want something back from, and if you are not able to follow up on what is happening with that money, perhaps they will get unrested, perhaps they will be not at ease at all. They probably will be quite mad and get on your case, and that's something that you don't need because you have all of these other things to care about. So that is kind of a con that you don't have the time, unfortunately. And even if you can raise the funds, can you capitalize on it with the limited manpower? Yet again, establishing the idea that you are alone here. So even if you get the funds, even if you find the people who are just throwing money at you, yeah? They're throwing money, they're taking out their case and their wallet, and they're just throwing all the money they have at you, and you're sitting there and just like, yes, bathe me in it, just let me shower in cash. Can you actually capitalize on the momentum gained from the investment? Because many people would say that, well, money is everything, isn't it? And sure, you can hire a consultant, but that will take away from the key investment that you probably need, and you probably haven't pitched an investment greater than the one you need for your first kind of couple of investors. Maybe you have, maybe you're a bit ballsy, but probably you want to limit it as much as you can so that the likelihood of actually getting that first investment increases. So therefore, you've probably established or estimated an investment that is going to cover the exact things that you need, and hence you probably don't have the effort or you probably don't have the the accumulated resources to actually hire an external consultant to do that work for you. So in order to actually capitalize on the funds that you've been given, you need to either have a very low amount of investment that you can actually work with yourself, establish a long-term relationship saying that I'm going to use this cash, not now, especially now, but over the course of a period, maybe a course of 6 months, maybe over the course of 12 months, I'm going to be able to utilize and actually implement this investment in a good, efficient way. Because if I just threw it in all right now, it's probably not going to yield that much in the outcome back to you. So the input, they want a greater output, of course, the investors I'm talking about now. So they're making the input, that's the cash, they want a greater output. Maybe you're saying after 12 or 13 years, I've been able to use it. Maybe after 2 or 3 years after that, you will be able to get your money back in a, greater sense than what you gave me in relation to, inflation and all of that, and so on and so forth. So will you be able to actually capitalize on the investment made by the investors? It's a big thing because, yet again, you're pitching an idea, you're pitching what you need, and then maybe when you get what you need, you can't even use it. So making sure that you have a team, it's important. That's all I'm trying to say with this. This is the pros, taking that into quotation marks, but mainly the cons about raising funds as a party of one. One can argue that, well, you will have all of the control. Yet again, even if you manage to get the investment, how will you follow up with this investment? How will you capitalize on the momentum gained by this investment if it's only you? Then you need to cater the investment around that it's only you, and maybe because of that you won't be able to capitalize on your idea just because you're not able to capitalize on a team working environment. So I would argue, hire a team and involve that in your investment process. When you're seeking investment, if you're stubborn like me enough to actually be seeking it on your own, seek it in such a way that you say that when you invest, I'm going to hire a team, I have people in mind. You probably need to have that when you go there, right? All of the formal academic curriculum and all of the things that you need, the formalities that you need with such a formal institution of investors, you need to have that done. But you probably also have to have an existing networking of people that you want to pull into a potential team if it works out. Probably you want to talk to that team beforehand, before the investors let you know that they're on board or not, and then you want to pitch that to the investors so that you yet again actually can capitalize on the momentum gained by the investment. That was a lot. Maybe many of you thought that, well, that's a bit boring, mate. That's a bit boring because it was all about investment, it was all about money. It was a bit negative there, yeah? But after all, it is the founder's problem. Yet again, a founder probably could be one as well as a team. It's mostly ones, isn't it? Because if you look at me, I'm alone. In this, no, not in the world, but in this little venture of mine. So that was everything from me today, mates. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at giving up your yeah, I am. Giving up your life while initially gearing up, which I think is one of the most interesting parts that we're going to talk about. And I think we've touched upon it before. We've kind of mentioned it before, but that is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Living and breathing your organization and corporation and your startup. Have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow.